hypercar ever to pop out of Christian von Koenigsegg's sizable head. Only 125 will ever be made, costing around £2.3 million each. It uses a 5.1 litre twin turbo flat plane crank V8. It produces 1,578 brake horsepower and 1,106 pounds-feet of torque. To rev from idle to 8,500 RPM in 0.2 seconds. Keep it pinned, my son. Keep it pinned, Jack. 0 to 62 takes around 2.5 seconds, and theoretically, the top speed on this slightly softer, slippier Absolute version is the scary side of 310 miles an hour. 310! I say theoretical because no one's had the brass balls or the space to hit it yet. But they will. I think I need a lie down. But then again, you only live once, don't you? We're going again. We're definitely going again.
But the engine isn't even the most impressive bit. That goes to the new 9-speed Lightspeed transmission that laughs in the general direction of a twin-clutch box. It features 2 sets of 3 gears, creating 9 possible ratios, which means 6 individual clutches for the forward gears and a 7th for reverse. So all gears are constantly engaged and ready. And the benefits are many. Not only can you jump from one gear to any of the others, but it's also smaller and 2/3 the weight of a comparable double clutcher. Plus, it means the engine doesn't need a flywheel. Hence its appetite for revving like a superbike.
Honestly, the short stack of those first 5 or 6 gears, I just keep smashing into the limiter. I can't pull the pedals fast enough because the way this engine revs, it's like a really, really eager, naturally aspirated engine. It's got that hardcore edge to the sound as well, but you've got all that torque and all that turbocharged grunt as well. The spec is the stuff of sticky teenage dreams. We've got carbon fibre panels, carbon fibre tub, carbon fibre wheels, carbon ceramic brakes, clamped by in-house designed calipers. You'll find the Christian doesn't really like to buy in any technology that he can make better himself. All in, this car weighs 1,390 kilograms dry, which is 30 kilograms less than the Attack model, although in the Attack you do get 1,000 kilograms of downforce at 171 miles an hour, whereas in the Absolute version, 150 kilograms.
If you're unaware of Christian von Koenigsegg and his boutique hypercar company, you're in for a treat. It all began back in 1994 when a 22-year-old Christian founded Koenigsegg Automotive. His mission? To build the greatest supercar the world had ever seen. A concept vehicle, the Koenigsegg CC, was first seen in 1996, but it wasn't until 2002 that the CC8S, Koenigsegg's first production car, finally arrived, scooping the Guinness World Record for the world's most powerful production engine, with a mere 655 horsepower. In 2003, a fire broke out at the original thatch-roofed factory, but Christian remained undeterred, launching the heavily upgraded 806 horsepower CCR in 2004, a car that hit 241 miles an hour at Nardo, officially ending the McLaren F1's reign as the world's fastest car. Next up, in 2006, was the CCX, which stood as the fastest car around the Top Gear test track for 7 years, despite the Stig having a rare glitch and binning it into a tyre wall. In 2007, the CCXR added E85 compatibility and lots more power. 2010 saw the arrival of the Agera, which evolved through various RS 1-to-1 and RS configurations, hoovering up more speed records as it went. In 2015, the hybrid Regera arrived with its funky direct drive gearbox and immediately melted any tyres within a 5-mile radius. In 2019, we got our first glimpse of the Jesko, a new generation of Koenigsegg Hypercar with 300-mile-an-hour plus potential, a distillation of everything learned over the last 2 decades. And then, in 2020, we got to see the Gemera, a 1700 horsepower 3-cylinder plug-in hybrid 4-seater, Koenigsegg's typically restrained take on a family car. And we also got to see the Jesko Absolut, a more streamlined, road-focused version of the Jesko. And that's the one we're driving today.
Alright, just a few things to point out to help you mark out the Absolute model from the Attack. And the first thing is you have a less aggressive front splitter on the Absolute model, and here the wheel arch vents are this rather attractive hole punched carbon fibre rather than big gaping vents that you get in the Attack model. These wheels are absolutely sensational, hollow core carbon fibre. They are actually hollow and made from 650 individual pieces of hand-laid carbon fibre, and metallic finish is quite special too. What they do is sand down the natural epoxy layer that forms on the top of the carbon fibre and then polish it up by hand. No one else does it because it just takes too long. And then the real difference is around the back of the Absolute model. No massive rear wing, but you do get these rather cool carbon fibre Batmobile style fins here, which help stability at high speed and help reduce drag. And the rear end itself is slightly wider, it's got a more sharper cut-off. That all helps with the aerodynamics of the car. You can have aero disc wheels on the rear wheels as well, because that's such an area of high turbulence. Cut in a shot of those aero disc wheels now, because they are so cool. And now for the really nerdy bit. Koenigsegg has something called a triplex damper system. It's effectively a horizontal damper and spring that they fit at the rear and the front, and that helps reduce dive under braking and squat under acceleration. Now in the Attack model, you've got that in the front and the back. In the Absolute, you've only got one in the back. No spring, just the triplex damper, and you don't have one at all in the front. And the benefits of that are you can remove this roof panel and you've actually got somewhere to store it, which is handy.
The interior is fairly sparse. A portrait screen in the dash, a couple of cup holders, an instrument screen attached to the steering wheel that stays level even as you wind the lock on and works brilliantly. And there's more space for 2 in here than any Koenigsegg that's gone before.
And now I must make a confession, because earlier I got a little bit overexcited when I said this car produces nearly 1600 horsepower. It will, but only if you're running on E85 biofuel. Now you can buy E85 at pretty much every petrol station in Sweden. It costs about 20% less than super unleaded, but it will go about 30% less far on a tank. Today we'll be running on super unleaded, which unfortunately means we're going to have to make do with 1262 brake horsepower. The things I have to put up with, eh? So, the name Jesko is named after Christian von Koenigsegg's father, the man who helped him get this incredible company off the ground 28 years ago, which got us thinking. When they first launched the Jesko at the Geneva Motor Show, they made a small batch of Jesko beer. So what if we took a couple of bottles of Jesko, 2 Jesko, in a Jesko?
The plan couldn't be simpler. Jesko actually lives 5 hours north of the Koenigsegg factory, which is in Ängelholm, Sweden, so we kindly agreed to travel south and meet us at a family friend's house nearby. As a Brucey bonus, getting there will give us a chance to drive the Jesko on the public road.
A car that's this fast, this capable of over 300 miles an hour, for God's sake, has absolutely no right being this easy to drive at legal speeds. Anyone these days can just buy a 1,000 horsepower plus crate engine and drop it into anything, but getting all the components to talk to each other, to work in harmony at low speeds, at everyday speeds, that's the real challenge. That's where the engineering finesse comes in. So the steering is really light, it's got a whip crack fast ratio to it. and I like that. It suits the fizzy nature of the V8 engine behind you. The brakes are superb. I'm not even troubling them at road speeds, and they did the job on the track earlier. And then there's this 9-speed gearbox, which is really interesting actually, because you do get the occasional clunky shift. Full bore upshifts can be quite a violent kick in the back, but I suppose that's in keeping with the car's brutal nature. But it's the way that they group the gear ratio. So the steps between gears 1, 2 and 3 are super close. They're right on top of each other. And then between 4, 5 and 6 they're slightly wider. And then 7, 8 and 9 they're wider still. So I'm in 6th gear here now. If I upshift to 7th, you feel the revs drop right off, and it means that this car actually can behave as a perfectly good cruiser. The ride is certainly comfortable enough to do really good distance. In terms of that engine, it basically sounds and feels naturally aspirated. You can get some turbo lag to rear its head if you really get one of the high gears and put your foot down, and it takes a while to spool up, but you know, otherwise it makes some monstrous noises. If you get this engine on the overrun, here we go, we'll give it to the beans in 5th and then lift off. Can you hear that? Sounds like a flipping firework display. I've driven some hypercars in my time. I've driven some very, very fast cars, and all of them are pretty amazing feats of engineering, but most of them leave me in awe, but not actually wanting one. But this Jesko, honestly, it's an all-rounder. Wasn't expecting that.
And then, after many miles and a stop for some willies, we arrived at the Koenigsegg family friend's modest pile to deliver our package to Jesko.
Hello?
Oh,
Jesko,
hello.
hello. I've brought you, Jesko, some Jesko in a Jesko. I've been waiting to say that
Jack,
for quite a while.
let's go in.
We should. Let's go and enjoy these. Cheers.
Cheers.
Or should we say, is it skål? Skål in Swedish.